Welcome back to Louisiana. I am Samuel, and today I'm super excited because I'm going to be going to this somewhat famous landmark in Louisiana. It's these ancient Indian ruins from about 3,500 years ago. It's really cool. No one's really entirely sure what they were built for, but it's a really cool spot to visit, and I've been here when I was about 9, but I barely remember any of it. So I'm going to be taking you guys along. It's called Poverty Point. It should be pretty cool, and we're going to go see what it's like. Yeehaw! So like I said, we're going to Poverty Point, and the current form of Poverty Point is there's this big mound of dirt that's said to be the head of a bird, and there's these C-shaped mound of semicircles by the head of the bird. They're said to be the wings of the bird, and this whole thing is called to be a bird mound. I've seen some research coming out that this might not actually be a bird, because there's this river that goes right by the semicircle, and it looks like, hey, if you tried to build these dirt mounds out, you'd run to the river and it wouldn't work, obviously, because you can't put dirt on a river. But if you think about it, rivers don't flow in the same course all the time. In fact, rivers change their course a lot. I mean, even the pond in my backyard has changed so much over the past couple of years. If you look at just about any river on Google Earth and you go back to when Google Earth was first imaged to the most recent imagery, it's changed a lot. Now think about how much this has changed in thousands of years. There's almost no way this river could have the same course. If you look at Poverty Point on Google Earth, you can see that these are the rings right here that form the semicircle. And then there's the river that's running through them that makes it seem that you couldn't build these rings on out. But this ring over here on the other side of the river looks like it could also have been part of these circles if this wasn't a complete circle mound. If it was a complete circle mound, then it could have been a sun temple instead of just a bird mound. So it's a really cool speculation that actually makes a lot of sense to me, because this river would not have been here at the time these were built. So you would have this complete circle of dirt work that could have been a temple. This right here is an artist's rendition of what Poverty Point might have looked like when it was built. But if you notice, it's just rendered up right to the edge of this river. And if this river wasn't here, this would have been a complete full circle all the way around. And we have now arrived at the state park of Poverty Point, and we're about to see if we can get in here and see what it's like. This right here is the museum building, but we notice that this is the Bayou Macon Overlook. So this is the bayou, that's actually the river that comes through the mounds, and here you can see it. Wow. And if you notice, they have put in some rocks on the side of this hill to prevent the river from eroding even more in. And we are about 20 feet above it where we are standing. And this may or may not have existed during the Poverty Point culture occupation from the time that it was built, because the Mississippi River might have been closer this time. Because as you know, like I was saying, rivers do form around, they change their course, and they build new courses. So this may or may not have been here, and if it was here, it was at a different location than it is now. So here you can see some of the artifacts found at this location inside the museum. Some of these are projectile points, some of these are used for construction, others were just beads, and then some of them were just for decoration, and at the end, some were some fishing weight nets. So you can see a little bit of the mound right there. We're about to get on this path with our bikes and see if we can ride up to the mound and see how tall it is from the top. They wouldn't let me fly my drone here because I'm on my license. I'm gonna get that soon. So maybe one day we'll be back and I can fly the drone. But I am really excited to see what it looks like from the top, because in the short video we watched, there was a view of the side and it looked massive. And I've been here when I was really little, but I do not remember how big this mound was. So we're gonna see how big of a mound was built many, many years ago. Super old dirt work, which is just mind-blowing how big it is and how it was built. And in the story of my life, my axle bolt has started to fall out right before the ride up. So when the site was discovered, they found these holes in the center of the massive flat part that is in the middle of the circles, and it appeared that in these holes were some wooden posts that served some sort of purpose. And right here, we are essentially at that spot where those were discovered, and they have put in these drums here to indicate what these wooden posts might have looked like, sticking way high up in the air in this circle and right in the middle of this open field that's in the middle of these dirt works. And over there you can see some more way out in the distance. And just for your perspective, that mound right through that opening in the trees, if you can see the mound, is Mound A, which is the biggest and largest mound of Poverty Point. Right here we are at Ridge 1, and as you can see, it's almost hardly noticeable, and the grass is cut taller so you can actually see where it is. And if you look, you can see the terrain does rise and it goes down. This ridge is very, very shallow. I think only about 0.3 of a foot high, and the highest ridge is only about 6 feet high. So these ridges are not anything huge, they are not massive, and it was almost impossible for researchers to see them. They didn't didn't even realize these ridges were here until they were able to do some aerial photography and see this landscape from the sky. Only then were they able to see that, hey, there's some stuff on the ground here that's forming some ridges. Looking across the road, you can see this mound in a little more detail. You can see how it's coming up a little bit and then it goes back down. Of course, the grass is cut taller there to make it more obvious, but you can see just looking at the pure terrain that there is a mound there. Another part of what made discovering Poverty Point and the ridges so hard is you can see the trees have gone right up over these mounds. But right here is Mound 2, and this mound is a little more obvious than the first, I would say. It's also longer and does come up a little bit higher just looking at the topography. With the trees that have grown up over here, it's impossible to notice, but this is ridge 3, and on this side you can see that this ridge is a whole lot taller than the others we've seen so far. The ground does come up more noticeably right here, and the grass is cut taller on all this, indicating this was an original side of the ridge. This is ridge 4. This is the smallest ridge I've seen so far. It's really, really flat, just barely noticeable. And looking on this side, even though there are trees, it is possible to see just a slight rise up in the terrain right about there if you look. I don't know if it's visible on camera, but it is definitely visible to my eyes. This is ridge 6, and if you look at it, this is definitely the highest ridge we have seen so far. I'm not sure what the exact height is, but this is the highest ridge, much higher than even number 3, which is the highest previously. And if you look out into the distance, that is Mound A. That is the mound we are going to be climbing, and that was the largest mound at this site. It is about 50 million cubic feet of dirt. Just look at how massive this mound is. This is Mound A. It is so huge. In fact, you can even see the staircase way up there. It's like a staircase straight to the skies. This thing's gonna look awesome from the top. I cannot wait to climb it. But first, we're gonna head over to this mound. This is Mound E. It's a little bit smaller, but the interesting thing is that these mounds are actually oriented. Mound E here will line up with Mound A there, and then another mound way over that direction, and they will end up pointing north-south almost exactly, which is so impressive. At the time period that these were built, how much technology and how much thought went into planning out this location and the mounds, and just how much effort was used to build what is on this site. And today, it even looks impressive today. And the fact this has lasted so long, for over 1,000 years, to have this huge mound of dirt sitting out here built by an indigenous tribe of people, is just mind-blowing, and it's in Louisiana. One of the cool things to me is that this has achieved so many awards. It's a Smithsonian affiliate, it's on the National Register of Historical Places, so many heritage sites, and a lot of achievements this place has received, and is not very well known. In fact, this place only gets about 15 to 20,000 visitors a year, but it's such a cool spot to come to. So if you're in Louisiana, you want to see a cool historical site, definitely check out Poverty Point. Right now I'm standing on the edge of Mound D. You can see it ends off there, and this whole mound is about 300 by 360 feet, so it's massive, and the amount of dirt in here is insane, but it's still not as crazy as the amount of dirt in Mound A. And if you look out there, you can actually see some combines. So we have now arrived at Mound A, and there's this nice long stair set up, so we're about to make our way to the top. I am going to use the gimbal and film it, and we'll see what that looks like. Made it to the top of Mound A. As you can see, all the way down, we're now on the observation deck, and out here is the front of the mountain. You can see how far out it goes, and you see how much of a huge view we have all the way around this mound. It's actually super massive, just looking out from all the amount of dirt that was piled up here by the Indian tribes long ago. And it's a really impressive thing just to think about what we are standing on, that so many thousands of years ago, this huge amount of dirt was piled up for some reason that we still can't figure out today, where they lived, whether it was a trading post, whether it was a sun temple. There's so many possible explanations, and it's just really, really cool to think about. Here's the stair set that we just walked up. As you can see, it's super long. It was a long climb. It was really fun. I hope the video looks good. So this is the biggest deal of Poverty Point, this huge mound that was discovered, and this is what the thing is actually built around, this massive mound. Some people think it's in the shape of a bird. As you can see, there's this top part that's kind of angled out, and then it flattens out back there, and then it goes down some more. And at first they thought this used to be in the shape of a bird, but there's no evidence to really support that. There's no reason for there to be a bird here. And if you look at it even from the air, it's not really that convincing that it is a bird. And then some people think that this was a head, and all the circles that going out that way, and then going out that way form the wings of the bird. There's a lot of different explanations. none of them really hold up that this place actually is a bird. And to me, what makes the most sense to me is that this is some big deal of the Sun Temple, and of course there's a Mound E that away, and there's the other mound that away, and there was a circle out this way of all the ridges that they had that would have formed that part of the Sun Temple, and it's a really cool spot and a really cool piece of history centered in Louisiana. To give you a little bit better for the feel of the scale is how massive this thing is. The base of the pyramid is about 760 feet, and of course they were squares, so that's 760 feet in every direction. This huge mound of dirt, its base is about 710 feet by 660 feet, so it's just a little bit smaller than the pyramids, and that is how massive this place is. And you can see there's the tree line, and here's where we are. We're really getting up really high in the air, and it's a super massive place, and I don't even know if on camera I can describe it, especially with how this part is a whole lot flatter than this, but it spreads out so far that just the span of this mound of dirt is so huge, and the rise of it comes up really high towards the tip. It's amazing. One possible explanation of why this place is built that's really cool to me is just to flex on the other tribes at how big their mound of dirt was, and that's just awesome to my brain. I love that. It's just, I have a bigger mound of dirt than you do, but it actually does make sense that a large amount of dirt like this could symbolize a powerful civilization that was doing really well, kind of let other tribes know that, hey, we're doing good. You probably don't want to mess with us, and that's one possible explanation of why this place exists, because it is not a burial mound as was said here. So standing here, you can see that there's a very noticeable depression out there, especially where the trees are. You can see the ground dips down. There's even a gully back there where the trees are growing. And it's speculated this is where some of the dirt to build Mound A came from, as Mound A is right there. Some of the dirt probably got excavated right out of there, especially where those trees are growing. Here's Mound B. This is the oldest mound at Poverty Point, and it's about 21 feet high. Here we can see all the way out, and this right here is the back of the mound. It's actually pretty steep. You can just guess how much dirt is contained in this. It's pretty big, but certainly not even near as big as Mound A that we were just at. Here's another ridge, and this one's super noticeable to me, and you can really see on camera how much of a ridge this is. There's a ridge there, and then out there's another ridge. Well, I've arrived back from Poverty Point, and I've now ran into a little French pastry. Time to chomp one of these. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any insights about what is behind Poverty Point, why they were built, or if the ridges were once a circle instead of purely a semicircle, please comment down below, because I am super interested in this. But that's gonna finish it up. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, share this video with your grandmother, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.